Hi, it's Neve G here, and I have with my friend Joshua, who's an adventurer, an artist, a musician, a dancer. Anything else you want to add to that?
I think you got most of the key points. Thank you.
Yeah, and so we have been friends for a while now, and just like to check in at different times on our spiritual journey. And we did one of those check-ins earlier today. And Joshua shared with me that he was going through the different Greek words for love and as a personal self journey, but then also something that he's willing to share with others. And I got super excited because I was like, oh, wait, you're exploring all these different ways of love and loving yourself. Like, I'm in. Like, let's do this. And so he said he's going to do one. Your plan is to do a different focus each week for 7 weeks, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And I had no idea that there was 7 different Greek words for love. For some reason I was thinking there was 5. And
right, like, oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, like for some reason, like I was on the mindset that there were 5 as well. And I think like as you search online, like they'll give you different ones, but there's definitely 7 and sometimes like 8 if you consider mania. So yeah.
Awesome. So I think for our conversation and for listeners listening in, I thought it'd be nice if we just went through the 7 and talk about them a little bit, and then after the 7 weeks do a follow-up episode on what we discovered about love and ourselves, and maybe even our relationships with others.
Beautiful. I agree, especially the part like our relationship with others, because I think that as we're able to parallel them to our relationships, the people will be able to put ourselves in those shoes for like receiving it from ourselves as well.
Right. So if you have a friend that you have philios love for, like this deep friendship love, then it's like, oh, how can I be a better friend to myself?
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. I think it's super powerful, which is why I wanted to have this conversation with you. And this is the Becoming Love podcast. So, love works as a theme.
Right.
So do you want to start? Should we start with Eros?
Yes, let's start with Eros. And I think that's like one of the most fiery of them,
So when you think,
what is Eros?
Yeah, go. Well, I was going to ask you, but
No, you go.
Yeah, I could go. I mean, when I think of Eros, I think of passion, romance, pleasure, beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you've?
Yeah, like you said, there's like passion, there's like that physical desire. I read that they consider that one like the dangerous one because it's like consuming and like uncontrollable sometimes, like when that like lust to procreate takes over, that like your mind kind of isn't at the forefront anymore.
So do you think infatuation would fall under Eros? Or do you think infatuation is just something else that's not love?
That's a good question. I think there are definitely nuances that they share and that they overlap on. Because like there's that same like lack of like logic and reason that they both share, it's like when you're infatuated, you're just like head over heels and it's like something uncontrollable. And I think like that's like both senses of those are where we draw like those aspects of Cupid from, because like Cupid is embodied by that, is the like embodiment of Eros as well, and so is like that puppy love of infatuation.
Yeah, I was just curious. I don't really have an answer either, but I think that infatuation, like aspects of it, could maybe fall under Eros if you, yeah. So romantic, passionate love. This is like the I want to be with you because I'm sexually and physically attracted to you kind of love, right?
Right. Like it's something that's like rooted on something like intangible, you know, because like with like friendships, those can be like more so rooted in like, we share these hobbies or activities or interests, you know, like you can like find the source, and even like familial like type of love as well. It's like rooted in something, but this one's more so like an attraction or desire that's like not as mentally conceivable. So yeah.
Okay. And then when we're looking at Eros in our self-love, like what are some different practices that you feel called to do? Or I mean, I guess masturbation would work for this one. A nice
Yeah.
spiritual self-love session would work for Eros, I think. Nudity.
Yeah. And like I want to talk about this masturbation one a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm gonna quote you like I've done so many times. There was that time when you said like if you can't look them in the eyes, you probably shouldn't be making love to them, you know? And like that stuck with me. And so even when like pleasuring myself, I want to make sure that I'm like engaging eye contact like with myself, you know? Um and yeah.
That's a very intimate thing. I have also masturbated in front of a mirror, and that is definitely a super intimate time, even with yourself. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty if you those of you listening, if you haven't done it, please try it this week.
Do
Because
it. Do it. It's powerful.
it really is powerful. Well, I do in my courses like a lot of mirror work, like looking at your own eyes in the mirror, seeing the divinity in yourself, telling yourself that you love yourself. So like why wouldn't we add in masturbating and looking in your own eyes in the mirror? Like I've never
Right.
shared that before, but I think it's great.
Yeah. And then like I'm often with guys, like it's like we're just sometimes just trying to like scratch an itch and move on with our day. And like we're just like rushing to that finish line of climax. But like I plan on just really taking time, like exploring and honoring my body as I would like someone else that I love, you know, just like focusing on the sensations and what feels good. And yeah.
Right, because Eros is about passion and lust and beauty and kind of crazy hot stuff, right? That's
Hmm.
Eros is like
Right.
a fire. So besides like a very I guess passionate and pleasurable session with ourselves, like what are other ways we can explore Eros and self-love?
Take yourself on a date.
I've done that
Like,
before.
like,
Like light the
yeah, yeah.
candle and eat by
Hmm.
myself. It
Yeah.
was actually pretty romantic, I have to say.
Yeah. Like literally like date yourself for a week, and whatever you would do to show love and affection and intimacy to like a partner, do that for yourself, you know? Um,
So writing sweet, sexy love notes to myself, like your ass
yeah.
is so hot, Neve, or whatever.
Right, right. Yeah. Lust after yourself. Do that. Try it.
Yeah. So yeah, because I want to help give people ideas as well. So I think this is good. So dating ourselves, making love with ourselves, writing romantic notes to ourselves, maybe watching a romantic movie or even a sexual
True.
romantic movie by ourselves. That could probably work as a self-love thing.
Yeah. And this is I think we also might have to segue into looking at love languages and find like really like exploring love languages and figuring out like how you receive love and honor that for yourself, you know, like whether it's gifts or like acts of service, like a quality time with yourself, you know.
Yeah, I'm big on words of affirmation, so that's why I have words of affirmation like all over all my walls and mirrors. Like, you're amazing, you're a goddess, I love you, you rock.
Nice.
Because that helps me keep my self-love bucket full, like helps me keep that
Yeah.
cup overflowing, because that's how I feel loved. Like when you quote me on my own podcast, I feel loved because I'm like, oh.
Good. Yeah, yeah. Your words resonate. They have power, and they stick around. Like they're good. They're palpable.
Palpable. Nice. Yeah. Thank you. And what about nudity? didn't you mention, and I don't know if you want to share what you texted me, but
Yeah. I really, 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 really want to desexualize nudity. Because like our bodies are sacred and there's so much more than just things to like lust after or to view as like sexual objects, you know? Um, and I have two Instagrams. So one of my secondary Instagram, which is going to be very love focused and self love focused. I I'm working to break those societal constructs of nudity and sexuality. Yeah,
yeah, it is kind of a bummer that if I show more skin, I get more likes because
yeah.
I'm being sexualized then at that point.
Hmm.
And people probably aren't even reading whatever the post is. And it's just
Right.
it's an interesting thing. I am all for desexualizing nudity.
Sweet. Yeah, that's a big part of this project. Because like in a post that I was I had this moment of like liberation, and I really wanted to just like express it and like pinpoint it, and so I like posted a picture of me like in my underwear, and then immediately I'm told that I'm like thirst trapping, which is I guess like soliciting like hmm, sex from people pretty much, or like attention or like lust. And that wasn't my intention at all. I was just free in my body and wanted to like honor that. Um, and so
Yeah, that's on them.
yeah, yeah. If they're not vibrating that high, like that's on them. That's not going to stop me from like pursuing this journey that I'm on.
All right. So is there anything else about Eros that we need to share? The romantic, passionate love. I mean, I feel like that's got to give people enough ideas to
Yeah.
try it, right? What do you
All
guys
right.
think
We can
as the
like
audience? What do you guys think? Yeah. Okay. They said yes.
sweet, sweet, sweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which one do you want to talk about next?
Um I guess we can just go down the list. What's next on the list?
Philia, or I think sometimes it's called Philos, or it's the friendship one.
Sweet. Yeah. Friendship.
Well, I also have,
Yeah.
when I looked it up, it also had intimate in there and authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it definitely depends on what you're reading and who wrote it and all of that. But for this friendship, authentic friendship and intimacy kind of um like platonic best friends
Right.
could fall under this, but a romantic partner could too.
Yeah. Because it's not necessarily like physical attraction, but it doesn't mean that it's like the physical attraction isn't there. So yeah.
This is one that I've been really embracing with my self-love, especially last year, 2021. I told myself quite often that I was my own best friend. I'm like,
Nice.
and treating myself like my best friend. Like, how would I treat my friends? Because I think people in general, I don't think it's just me. We have a tendency to be nicer to other people than we are to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one of my main practices, um, was just, okay, I'm my own best friend. I'm my own best friend. My own best friend would, you know, do this. I would do this for my best friend. I would never tell my best friend that they suck. So why am I saying
Right.
that in my mind? Nope. Getting rid of that.
Right.
So what I don't I think that's pretty clear on a definition. I guess soul bonds or soulmates could fall under this one. That's the thing about these seven is they kind of interplay with each other a lot. I think when I start to think about people that I love, I'm like, well, I love them in this way now, and I love them in this way, right? So with being a friend to yourself, like I was just mentioning, positive self-talk as
Mhm.
we would a best friend. But what are other ways you think for a self-love practice that's on the authentic friendship level?
Um, yeah, I think you a lot of what you said is definitely what I was considering, like advocating for yourself the same way a friend would, and like being your own town council and being showing yourself the same kindness that you would a friend. Yeah, I think. Hmm.
Yeah, well, we're going
And
to
they,
explore them each week, so we'll definitely come up with more um, ideas for practices for this friendship type of love. But I mean, I think you could take yourself on a, maybe not with a candle, but like an adventure date with yourself would be like
yeah.
like what you would do with a friend. Like if you were visiting me, I would drive up the mountain and show you my cool lookout spot and play the flute. Fortunately for me, I actually do that with myself pretty often anyway, but usually I
Yeah.
take my partner or my son with me. But that's like that's kind of what I'm thinking of, like, what activities that you would do with a friend that is an intimate friend or a authentic. I don't know if I really like those words. I mean, I guess friendship was really the only word that I was thinking of with philia,
Hmm.
philos. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Like even 'cause, like there are different ways of loving your friends, right? Like sometimes you love your friends by simply checking in with them, and like so you can check in with yourself and see how you're doing, you know. Sometimes loving your friends is holding them accountable, and so you hold yourself accountable for some things that you know are your goals. Sometimes it's uplifting them, so you uplift yourself as you would as well for your friend. But then also, like you said, go ahead. But then also like you said, that like if like you would take your friend on an adventure, but that's something you do for yourself already. And that's the beauty of friendships, is that like we pretty much love like loving our friends, or like liking our friends are an extension of like liking those things within ourselves. They're like I really think it is like that whole soulmate type of thing. They,
Yeah, and I think the love languages play into this too. Like, I definitely love giving my friends gifts. I love telling them how awesome they are, right? I love spending quality
yeah,
time with them. So I think the love languages totally play into probably all of these.
yeah. And perhaps, like, for the sake of exercise, this one could be the one potentially where we focused on love languages and striving to show yourself friendship within like all five love languages.
Yeah. It's really interesting that there's this many. Like, I remember studying the Greek words for love, and there was
Hmm.
like 3 to 5, and it was a long time ago. And I was just like, oh yeah, actually, I really think there was three that I was thinking of, which was like eros, philios, and agape.
Right. Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's all these like other ones that I didn't even know about. So let's talk about this uh ludus.
So like the playful one, I think I
Yeah,
forget.
playful, flirtatious love.
Nice.
So
And like
that might be where infatuation would fall under, maybe.
that one does kind of feel like courtship, and like the young and like innocent one. And so that could be. And I think like that one doesn't even always have to be romantic as well either, right? If I have to reread it.
No, yeah, I think from what I found on it, it's casual, sexual, exciting, zero implications of obligation.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like you meet someone at a dance and you guys are flirting. Maybe you do something afterwards, maybe you don't, but it's like this. And see, I would never really classify that as love, but it could be a type of love. Or maybe it's
Yeah.
like Ludos is love in its initial stages.
Hmm. And then like that's the thing about love. It's like such a broad word. Like the Eskimos have how many types of words for snow? Like over 50. And so if we just keep looking at love as if it's like this one, defined by like this one word, we're missing out on the nuance. And so there's just all these types of love that we don't even consider to be love, but they are. Like,
Yeah, well, this one, I mean, when I was reading the definition of ludus, I guess that's how you say it was saying
mhm,
that it's it says it comes without eros or philia attachment. So without the romantic or the friendship. So this is like, if that's just intriguing to me. That's why I wanted to have the conversation, because I wouldn't have
yeah,
normally classified that as a love. I would have classified it as like infatuation or flirtation or playful. But I love the word playful when thinking about self-love, because I've been doing like more dancing with myself and cracking jokes to make myself laugh and like being
mhm,
playful and kind of flirtatious with myself. I wouldn't have thought of it that way exactly. Um,
fair.
but it's interesting.
I think part of it could be that in our society, um, love is pretty much synonymous with like romance, or like even like the sexual aspect, and also even like obligation or commitment. But if we're looking at love as simply being some type of like attraction or interaction, then it could be a little easier to view ludus as a type of love.
Well, I think Ludos would work for like when I comment on someone's thing and I'm like, oh, I love that. It's like
Mhm.
it's like more of a flirtatious, playful love. Like, oh, I love
Yeah,
that
yeah.
post or whatever.
Hmm. And then I think of like agape in those moments, like the unconditional, just like universal love. Like, oh, I really dig that. Like that resonates with my existence. I love that. Or like I can say I love you to a stranger because like agape. And I might be getting ahead of myself going to that one, but like,
Yeah, I was gonna save that for last, but
uh, oops. Well, it's fine.
it is fine. It doesn't matter. It's just like the most, that's what I think the podcast is really about, is that love. So that's why I was gonna
Hmm.
save it for last. Um,
Ah,
but yeah, so we've done three. So what about the unconditional familial love? That's the family love. How do you say that one? Storge? Store?
um, Storge. I don't know. I
Storge?
don't know. I don't know. I will have better pronunciation by the end of this adventure.
Right, because you're studying and focusing on them each week. Yeah. Well, this is definitely one that I the unconditional familial love, like that's pretty on my mind after the holidays and everything. Is like being around my
Hmm.
family and this um it's such an interesting love because I love my family so much, but sometimes they're super annoying and it's definitely not romantic, right? Or any of these other like versions of love, but it is love for sure.
Right.
So this is you know I think the best way to describe it is like the way that you like a mother loves her baby, or like family members love each other. Or it could be also described as a sense of like being a patriot, I think could
Hmm.
that, like if you love your country, that I think it would fall under that too.
I think there's like a a deeper like it's like a deeper layer of like philia, because like brotherly, but more so like connected in the sense of, I guess, like blood or structure. Like there's something that is bonding you to these people and these obligations, and there's like duty there that's attached.
Yeah. So when we look at it in terms of loving ourselves in a familial, unconditional duty way, what practices come to mind for you?
And so like we mentioned earlier, how through finding examples in our relationships we're able to put ourselves in those shoes. So exploring how we have received love from our family, or how we would like to receive love from our family, and loving ourselves that way, you know? Like if you really enjoy like the home cooked meals that your mother provides, then take this season of exploration to like cook yourself a nice home cooked meal, if you don't usually.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Or do the dishes, right away, just because that's what you would do if you were at someone else's house. Or, I mean,
Right.
we usually keep our sink pretty clear, but you know what I mean. As an example,
Yeah. And then
that's
after
acts of
that, like you'll
service.
appreciate that. Yeah, that's acts of service. You're right. And then you'll be able to sit down and relax and be like, wow, I'm really glad that I loved myself earlier, because like now I don't have to worry about the dishes because I already did them. Or wow, what a beautiful meal I just gave myself.
I am totally obsessed with love. I love this conversation.
It's so good, right? It's so good.
Yeah, because it's just a fascinating thing. And I think a lot of times people say like, oh, you need to love yourself, but then there's not like a lot of practical steps. So this definitely
Mhm.
has a lot of practical steps, like doing the chores for yourself, I think could fall under storge. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
and yeah, any types of like chores or gift giving to yourself. I like to give gifts to my family. So I think it is good to think about them in relationship and then turn the mirror, look in the
Hmm.
mirror, and then think of the practices you could do for yourself with each of these.
I agree. And it does feel like this is going to be like acts of service heavy, because that's partially the whole like family dynamic. You have like chores and duties and responsibilities, and we're going to be honoring those for ourselves.
So in 4 weeks, we'll have really clean houses.
Right. And very strong heart chakra,
Yeah,
or
totally.
stronger heart chakra.
Okay, so any other thoughts on that one, or can we move on?
I think we can move on.
Yeah, I think so. So this is the one that's hard to say. I didn't know
The
about. Go ahead.
Philautia.
Yeah, Phalatia.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know this one existed.
Same. And that's like the self-love one, right?
It is the self-love one. And I didn't know that the Greeks had a word for it. But it's care-based love that reinforces self-esteem
Nice.
or self-care is the other, basically what
Mm-hmm.
the definition was for it. Like, so for me, self-love is self-care. Like if I am doing
Mm-hmm.
all my self-care practices, I am loving myself. One of my morning practices now that I do is, I mean, I've been doing it for a while, but I kind of changed it a little. But I do a self massage every morning. So I rub my whole body down with my hands. And
Nice.
so, like, the left side of the body is the feminine, the right's the masculine. So it feels very balancing. And I do like a left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, and I run them over my third eye, and I do some stuff with my heart. But I feel like that this one is definitely, as far as self love goes, it's totally self care to me. Like, that's how I would interpret
Yeah.
it.
Brilliant.
And we don't really have to think about other people's other relationships with this one, do we?
We don't actually, because it's self-love focused. I believe someone said that like this one leads to how you love others, which is true.
Oh, for sure.
Um,
If you don't love
um,
yourself, you can't really love other people. Not
right,
in
right. You
not in a
can't,
healthy way.
yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to like fill your cup up first and really nourish yourself and like really take care of yourself. And through that, you're able to give so much more.
Well, I'd like to break the standard with a comment really quick, because
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
something that really came up for me. I think when I started my health coaching journey, when I started my certification for that, because I think that's when it was. It could have been yoga certification. I don't know. It was a while ago, but I realized that the priorities that people were putting their family members in didn't didn't make sense to me. So
Mm-hmm.
generally people would put like their partner or like God first, and then their partner, and then their kids, and then themselves. But when you do that, you're empty and you can't really give and love to them. And what I have found to
Yeah.
be true is like my devotion, my relationship with the divine as like number one, which coincides with my like my self-love, my relationship with
Hmm.
myself. And if I'm cool with myself, then I can easily love and serve my partner. And I think partner needs to come before children, because a lot of times that people put their kids before their partner, but if the dynamic between the partners isn't like healthy and happy and loving, it affects the children.
Right.
So my personal, if anyone asked me, like that order of priority, I think is like divine, self, partner, and then children, if you have a partner and children,
Yeah.
and then friends or other, right, and then everyone else. But it's interesting because I think a lot of what I've observed is a lot of people putting their partner or their kids before themselves, and then they end up burning out, especially women, I think.
Hmm.
But I think everyone does it
Yeah.
or has done it.
I definitely agree that like one, like if you like align yourself and you're like aligned with like that greater divine source, and through that you are therefore able to then be balanced with your partner, and like both people, if they have aligned themselves within with that greater source, then they're able to like flow beautifully and like not really be lacking in either part. And then from there the child is receiving both things evenly, what they receive, and they're not lacking either. In that same sense, if you are well within yourself, then you're able to give to your friends as well. And so it just seems very balanced in that order that you gave. So yes,
Yeah, I
I
feel
agree.
I feel that it's very balanced. It's kind of interesting being a mom and having a child, because I would do anything for him. And I know that when I massage myself in the morning, that's going to make me less irritable later when he's like asking me the same question a bunch of times or whatever is
Hmm.
happening. And it's cute because he's been asking me, how much do you love me recently? And so
It's brilliant.
I've been saying, I love you infinity. And he's like, well, how much do you love your partner? And I was like, well, I love my partner infinity. Because I don't think he's ready for this breakdown of priorities.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just,
yeah.
and I do love them both infinity, but like, it's just kind of it's kind of interesting that he asked me that. And it's cool that he's thinking about love and the family and our dynamics. Um, and I was telling him we can all love each other lots. It doesn't need to be like you love one person more than another. Like
Right.
it's more inclusive than that, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's not really a reason to quantify love, you just express it and give it. It's infinite, like you say.
And be it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, definitely be it.
I think that's what this kind of is all about, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, so self-love, we got that one. Self-care, and then pragma. Is that how you say that one?
Pragma. Yeah, yeah, that sounds right. That makes sense to me.
This is committed, passionate love, it's built on commitment, long term. So like my parents have been married 40 years, so I would say they have this pragma, right?
Hmm.
Learning to compromise, accepting differences, everlasting love rooted in romantic feelings and companionship. Hmm.
Nice.
So I guess that's really about the commitment part. Seems like
Hmm.
that's what's differentiating it from the others.
Casually, when I was reading over these before, like parts of that reminds me of like religion or like spirituality and like that commitment to like a greater source and that like intimate relationship with it and that long lasting endurance that it is.
Your relationship with the divine source,
Hmm.
infinite unknown energy, light.
Yeah. Right, right, right.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely think that there's in like in bhakti yoga, like in my devotion to the divine. I mean, that's the longest relationship I've been in.
Yeah, yeah.
Pragma, yeah, is with the divine for sure. And I'm very much committed long term till the end.
Right.
I
Yeah,
love that you
I
brought that in.
completely agree. Thank you. I mean, I through meditation, it kind of brought itself, and then I just was obedient and shared it right now.
Yeah, that's how I
But
like to do it. Yeah, so
yeah.
it's interesting. So that then when we love ourselves, it's like if we turn pragma towards ourselves,
Hmm.
that is part of the relationship, excuse me, with the divine. It's also part of the our it's kind of like self-love is sort of in there. I don't know, what do you think would be the practices you're going to do on week 6? Say we go in this order, and we get to
Gotcha.
this committed companionship love.
I think I would double down on seeing and honoring the divine within myself, and probably like harken back to those expressions of your body is a temple, and realizing that like the divine does in fact live within us, and exploring it like that.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. Meditation, a little bit of self-care, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool how they all kind of they really do interplay, but they're slightly different. I like
Great.
I like looking at this. And now we can get to our favorite one.
Agape.
Yeah, how did you know?
Because it's our favorite and it's the only one left.
Oh, that's a good point. Uh, so this is universal love. The some of the words that came up when I looked it up was empathetic. I used to always think of agape as unconditional love for like all, like
Yeah.
like Yeshua's love was
Hmm.
agape love. That's kind of how I've always thought of agape.
Same. And that's when I first started experiencing it. Because shortly before that train trip that I took, I was like, I think I was reading John, and it told the story of Christ, and it seemed very straightforward. Like, be a servant, spread a conditional love. Like, I'm like, oh, that's what Jesus wants. Cool. I can strive to do that for a season. And like that's what I set out to do, and like that's what I did. I was just striving to love everyone, and like make everyone that I encountered feel loved, and like just simply seeing the beauty in everyone. And so like I feel like I'm most comfortable with agape love out of all of them. And yeah.
Yeah, it's universal love and oneness. It's about it's inclusive. Like we love God, we love nature, we love strangers, we love those that are less fortunate. It's like loving humanity, all the critters, all the nature. Like
Yeah.
it is that oneness. I think it's the love that, if you follow spiritual people on Instagram or social media, right? When they talk about like love everyone, it's agape love.
Hmm.
It's like this
Right.
unconditional, empathetic, universal love.
And I think there's like some Ganesh in there too. In the same way that like through honoring Ganesh, you're like honoring like all phases and stages of life and existence, like from the biggest to the smallest. I think that goes in there as well. I think, but I'm still learning.
Yeah, agape, all of space and time, like loving humanity's history, even with its mistakes.
Yeah, because from that we can learn, and we can strive to be better. We can be better.
Yeah, we can be better.
We can be better. This is good.
This is the way.
It is. It is. It is.
The way of love. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I don't know. So I guess when we're thinking about universal love, I guess this would be the one with a lot of meditation in it.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what to point. So if I'm like on week 7, it's agape love theme and I'm loving myself universally. I feel like
So like
maybe more nature time too for me.
nature time would be beautiful, like just being outside, taking everything in, because I think we can also move beyond just like loving people, but loving like the beauty of everything around us. And since this is the final one, this can be like the home stretch where we strive to incorporate all these prior ones into our love like daily, because like we are combining them now because it is the love of everything, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I think the romantic one pointing to myself is like kind of like gets me really excited. I do a lot of self-care and
Mm-hmm.
play and like I do a lot of these things. But I think it's going to be a really beautiful journey to just really focus on love. And I'm sure that it will pour out of me. I mean, I already try to smile and wave at everybody and, share the love as much
Yeah.
as possible. One of my friends shared with me a long time ago, be love and love to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a mantra I use often. So that'll be a great mantra or affirmation or theme for this. I guess it's almost 2 months, but like 7 weeks. Um, and we'll share. You said you're going to share on your social media a little bit about your journey and the self love. I will also share, and anyone listening, like you can join us at any time. This is, I guess, the second week of January, so we'll be going through that love holiday and beyond. Like we're going to be ending around Valentine's Day, I think, or like a little shortly after, maybe the end of February.
Yeah. And February is a short month. Yeah.
It is a short month, but we still love it.
We do. We do. We do. It's going to be good.
Yeah. So, and we are just inviting anyone that would like to join us on this love adventure, becoming love. I think this is a great practical practice for becoming love, is exploring different types of love and different aspects, avenues, and attributes of love to point back to yourself. And I think by the end of this, maybe I'll figure out what type of love that I have for you, Joshua.
I look forward to hearing about it, and I look forward to figuring that out myself, you know.
Well, I know
And
I love you. I know it's universal. There's also the friendship one. So yeah, it'll just
yeah.
be fun to explore what 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 are the different types of love that I have for different people in my life, and then myself, of course. So
Yeah. And I guess this would also be a really cool opportunity to like teach them to your son. He can start having more ways of expressing that and to be like, ah, you love me like this word, that's cool. I don't know. Since he's
yeah,
asking already.
he is asking. I think that's a good idea. Maybe my focus for the 7 weeks is partially introducing him into a lot of the practice that I do and why, by teaching him different ways, types, avenues of love.
Mm-hmm.
I love that
Yeah.
suggestion. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, like that'd be really healthy for him, especially to have that foundation so young. That's exciting. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I can probably like record a cool video about it too. He'll probably ask me something really cute or funny, or he's pretty great. I love him so much.
Yeah.
So do
I'm
you have,
sure.
yeah, do you have any closing thoughts for this adventure?
Um, do we want to run back through the ways we were gonna strive through all of them really quick for like closing purposes, or just is that necessary?
I don't think so, unless you want
All
to.
right, sweet. Not particularly, just an option. Um, closing thoughts. I think this is going to be really healthy for our heart chakra, and I'm excited for it. I know that
Yes.
personally, I think my heart chakra is the one that like fluctuates the most or isn't always as strong. And so I think this will be a very healthy opportunity, which is partially why I embarked on this. And it's cool that you're doing this with me.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And anyone listening, this is an amazing heart chakra exercise and opening. Even just looking up the words and thinking about them will open
Mm-hmm.
your heart more. And like heart chakra is all about giving and receiving. Like, I am the nourisher of the universe, right? And just embodying that, like the be love, love to be, and the agape love, right? Is that all of that gets your heart chakra all tingly and sparkly, like, woohoo, let's go. I guess that's my
Yeah,
closing thought.
I dig it. It's good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for jumping on here with me, and we'll touch back in like about 2 months after we've gone through this love journey, and just share some of the practices that we did that we loved, things that were new or that came up for us, and yeah, anything else on our hearts that were
Yeah,
probed by the universe to share with others.
sweet.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
Oh, oh wow. What if during this season we started like switching out those words for love, like using the other ones, like I agape you, like those other ones, just to like play with them, and that we can just see, it's really
Yeah,
cool.
that would be, I mean, if I'm going to introduce them to Tanzan, I think he's old enough to kind of comprehend different ideas on them. I mean, I don't know about 7, but I'll try it and see what happens. Parenting's an experiment anyway. So,
Right? Just like existence.
right. Like we were saying right before we started recording, right? It's just a fun journey, as long as you can keep your perspective on that it's a fun journey. Being
Exactly.
human. Humanoids
Yeah.
unite. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I will talk to you soon.